Morning, everybody. How's everyone doing? You guys good?
Great.
Good. Miss Tara, how are you?
Hey.
All right. So, to be respectful of everyone's time, we're just going to get up and running. People are probably going to join us kind of as we go. Two things before we get up and running. I'm starting a new initiative where I'm going to be telling more of your guys' stories. So that being said, if anyone has a story, a win, a challenge they overcame, or something that they learned along the way, get with me outside of this and happy to tell your guys a story. And then also going to be starting kind of an Ask Me Anything. So if you guys have a question about marketing, sales, Legion, tech, once again, I don't know everything, but I'll share what I do know. So let me know if you guys want something to be covered as well. So without further ado, I hope that you guys have your notepads. You've done your finger stretches like we used to do in elementary school, because you guys are going to be taking a shit ton of notes. So that being said, Tara, my dear, my sister from another mother, you
Yes.
have the floor.
Yay. Okay, I am super excited to share this with you guys. I have utilized this method myself, and I am going to share my screen here in a minute. But I've only taught it one other time, and that was actually to Ryan's group, and it was really well received. And I know it can help a lot of people, and people really loved it. So feel free to ask me any questions. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes,
Can
ma'am.
you hear me okay, Ryan? Okay, good. Feel free to ask me any questions during this. Very interactive is fine, but I'm going to go ahead and share my screen. I have some slides here. And if you guys want these slides, I call this my ultimate pitch method. I think I saw Ryan's email. It was kind of like how to win 90% of your appointments before you arrive. And it really does work. And you may be implementing some of these things, but if you do the thing as a whole, it's really, really effective. And we'll go through why it's effective and that type of thing. But I will send you these slides. I don't know if you guys follow me on Instagram already, but if you just go to my Instagram, send me a DM and ask for the slides, I will send the slides to you just so you don't have to screenshot and do all the things, so you can pay more attention as we're going through this.
I will actually drop your handle in the chat.
In the chat, that would be awesome. Okay, can everyone see my screen? Yes, in the chat. We're going to go through this. If you guys don't know me, this is just a little bit about me. So I have 4 kids. I've been selling real estate for, actually, this is my 25th year. There's my IG handle up here as well. I've sold over $340 million in residential real estate. I've spent the last couple of years investing a lot in coaching, over $175,000 actually, to learn some of just like the best kind of things out there from some of these big coaches that we see. And I have learned a lot, and it's really helped me. I doubled my business in one 12-month period just from implementing some of these really cool strategies that I learned. And this is a really, really good one. So I hope that it helps you guys as well. There are 4 parts to this, what I call the ultimate pitch method. And we're going to go over each of the 4 parts in order because it matters, and then why they work as well. So the first one's WBYA. As you can see, it's 50% of the puzzle. And so it's a really, really, really big one. But it's not going to close the sale for you. So we'll go over what these other 3 mean as well. So again, WBYA is win before you arrive. So we want to win before we even ever have that first meeting with our client. And there are ways that we can do that. There's psychology, there's language patterns, and we're going to go over both of those. So the first part of win before you arrive to any first initial meeting with a client would be using some sort of automated calendar or scheduling system. So I'm going to go over Calendly. You could use, I know there's other ones out there, and whichever one you choose to use is fine. There's no ad here for Calendly, but the point of having an automated scheduler is that we need to make the process as seamless and easy as we can for the buyer or for the client. And what I mean by that is if someone is able to get on your calendar with less friction, they're more likely to do so. And if you schedule an appointment for a client and then there are some automated systematic follow-ups already incorporated into that, it's going to do some things to the buyer. And we're going to talk about what those things are. So what I recommend in this system and this strategy is have some sort of automated scheduler that either they hopped on their own, and there's some strategies about where you can place the link to that, or that you book them. And we're going to set up 3 follow-up reminders about the appointment. I don't know if you guys have ever had a doctor's office or a dentist that has this. I actually love that. Like when I schedule something with a doctor and then I get a text message that says, hey, this is when your appointment is. If you need to cancel, if you need to reschedule, any of those things, it's all gives me the control and the power to do that. I automatically feel like this is a more professional doctor because look how easy it is. Look how automated it is. And a lot of what I teach is about implementing systems and automations into your business so that we create that kind of feeling for the client. So this is a very, very easy one, and it's very inexpensive. So if you don't have Calendly or some sort of automated calendar, I suggest that you get one. So what we want to do, I have a new home Q&A call. That's one that I promote a lot. But since you guys are doing listings and workings with buyers, I would probably have, this would be like the initial listing appointment, let's say. For today's demonstration, I'm going to pretend like we're going on a listing appointment. So I would create something in my Calendly that was maybe the initial, listing appointment, whatever you want to name it. We're going to have a little bit of information here about the appointment. After they schedule, the client is going to get an email notification at the time of booking so that automatically they get something emailed to them confirming their appointment. Then we're going to send them a reminder 24 hours before, and we're going to send them another text reminder 4 hours before. And this is going to make sure that your show up rate and your cancellation rate is a lot less. So this is the first thing we are doing to show the client how professional we are and that we have systems and automations built into our business, because that's going to be important later when we get to the actual appointment. The next part of Win Before You Arrive is called the whiteboard text. So I don't know if you guys can see here in my office, I have whiteboards. Okay. So on one of them, this one right here, you can kind of see what I have a picture of right there. Right after they schedule, all of this is automated for us. So we just set this one time and Calendly is going to do the work for us. We don't ever have to think about this again. It's going to automate and do that for us. This is the part that you're going to do. Once they schedule the appointment, and I don't know how your system works, but you are going to, right here, you can kind of see on this picture that I took, I'm outlining here my Agent of Impact kind of academy outline. If I were a realtor going on a listing appointment, I would have my framework for what I do for that client written out here. Very generically, very broad, but I would have, I do whatever the parts of your process are for a listing. When you take on a new listing, I would put those out here. In the center, this is the part that you're going to change every time that you are going to meet with a client. You're going to either put their property address in the middle of the circle, or you're going to put their name in the middle of the circle. Then you're going to take a picture of yourself in front of that whiteboard that you wrote out one time. You don't have to write this out again. As you can see, mine's written over here. I don't ever erase that. I just leave it up there. I'm going to change either just the middle circle to have their property address or their name. Then I'm going to take a picture of myself in front of it with their name or their property address, and I'm going to send it to them in a text. And I'm going to say, hey, it's Tarah. I'm working on for this a launch strategy for your home. Please look over this past plan and its success story. In this whiteboard text, this is the only time in the Win Before You Arrive where we are going to send some social proof. Okay. And what I mean by that is part of this strategy is having a landing page created where you can link to a landing page, and it's a long form content that tells of a success story of one of your clients. I don't want it to be a page with 1,000 reviews. I want it to be one sort of blog post that says, oh, this was my client, Jenny. We listed their house in Camden Lakes. It tells the story of how you successfully helped that customer sell their property. That's the listing success story. You're going to link to one story, long form content. You only have to write this one time, and then you're going to be able to have that landing page. And it's really easy to create a landing page on Flowdesk or any of these different services or platforms, but you're going to create it one time and you're going to link it in this text. What this does is the buyer gets this. Number one, they've already had automated confirmations of their appointment. Now they're getting a personalized text from you before you've even ever met them with their name or their property address saying you're already working on their strategy. Already you're blowing 90% of the agents out of the water, because I can assure you that nobody else is doing this. Okay.
So time out. So you can use this for YouTube. You can have a YouTube video. If you guys need help with landing page software or don't have or know what landing page software is, get with me afterwards. And I'll make sure that I get you access to the landing page software that I own. So no, but don't sleep on this right here. My jaw hit the floor when Tarah brought this up, and it is absolutely genius, because it shows that you are not just sleeping on the appointment that's coming up. You're actually, the perception is you are actively working on trying to get them into a better position. So this is fantastic. And I'm so glad that you brought this up again.
And you're telling the client you're working on a strategy for their property before you've ever even gone out. Nobody else is doing that, by the way. Literally, you will already walk into the meeting having won the meeting. I mean, this is why this is part of it. It's 50% of winning the meeting before you've even met the client, actually told them what your process is. They think, wow, she's already working on a strategy for my product. That's why put their address in it or put their name, have the outline of your system of how you work with clients in the background, and send this to them. And this is after they book. Okay. So within the first 24 hours. The next thing, and remember, our other things are automatically being automated. The final reconfirmation thing that you want to do is 24 hours before the appointment. So the night before, I need you to do some sort of multimedia reconfirmation. And this is going to either be a video, if you're comfortable on video. I know a lot of people don't even like taking pictures of their face. I'm the same way, but guess what? This is what our face looks like. They're going to see your face the next day during the appointment anyway, so just send your face. If you, for this reconfirmation option, which will be done the night before the appointment or the day before, it needs to be multimedia, because there's just a lot of data out there that connects more psychologically with our clients. So it either needs to be a video or a voice memo. Voice memo is totally fine because people want to hear your voice. They will connect to your voice. So even if it's a voice memo, I just want you to be like, hey, Sandy, this is Tarah. I'm looking, forward to our appointment tomorrow. Just reconfirming it's at 10 a.m. And again, you can link to the social proof there. So you can either create a second one, or you can re-link to that and you can say, hey, don't know if you got a chance to check this out, but here's the link again. I like to have a separate one, but you can also link to the same one. We just want to make sure people are busy. We just want to make sure that they are seeing some success story from you. And again, we're just showing them how much we care and how much we are going to go above and beyond before we even meet them. Okay. So this is building rapport, if it's possible, before we ever get there. So that's win before you arrive. There's 3 parts to it. There's the automated scheduling with the automated notification. So you only have to set that up one time. There's the whiteboard text, which you create the background of that one time and you're only changing the middle. And then you can copy and paste this text each time to the clients. You don't need to recreate this every time. It's meant to take you 30 seconds. Okay. And then the reconfirmation multimedia, either video or voice memo the night before. Okay. Those 3 things are going to knock their socks off before they've even met you.
Okay. So before we move on, if you guys feel like you guys are able to execute on that, Make sure to drop a 1 in the chat so we make sure that we're not leaving anyone behind. And if you need help, make sure to ask as well. But I think you've done a great job simplifying that and making it easy to digest and with tools that we already have access to.
Okay. Yeah. And Ryan, since you have heard this before, yes, I love that you're doing this. Stop me if I'm talking too fast or I'm
No, you're
forgetting.
good. Keep
No,
rolling.
okay, good. All right. Next part is the first 8 minutes. That's what F8 is. Okay. So we've done a good job of trying to wow them before we get there and show them that we are going to go above and beyond compared to all the other agents out there. Now, the next part, which is 20% of the equation. So if we get these two right, we're 70% there of getting this client's business. It's called F8. That's the first 8 minutes. This is really, really super important. Okay. Because the first 8 minutes, you are going to win or lose the client because they already have a good perception of you. But they don't know, like, is that really how you are? Like, they're impressed because they're like, wow, look at this. It's so easy. There's systems, there's automations. It's personalized. She's obviously doing some work. But when they meet you, they're now going to validate if their opinion of you was correct. Okay. So deconstructing, I think I moved my slides. Hold on. Deconstructing the first 8 minutes. Okay. So all the gurus out there say that we have to build rapport and people have to know, like, and trust you before they will decide if they're going to work with you. The problem with that is it's impossible for someone to know, like, and trust you in a first 30-minute or 15-minute meeting. They just can't because they don't know you. They're not going to be able to decide if they really like you. And how can they trust you? They've never done any business with you. No transaction has occurred. And by its very nature, trust takes time to develop. Okay. So it's impossible for someone to know, like, and trust you in an initial appointment. That's kind of more of a broad range strategy for like social media or long form content. Yes, if someone absorbs 7 hours of your content, they can kind of get a feeling that they know, like, and trust you. But if they haven't done that, or you don't even have 7 hours of content out on social media for them to be able to find, how are they going to know, like, and trust you in a 30-minute meeting? They're not. So instead, we have to do something else psychologically to win the appointment. And that's the first 8 minutes. Okay. And I'm going to deconstruct what those first 8 minutes need to be because there's strategy with language and there's strategy at the way that we approach it. Okay. Because this is impossible. We can't build rapport and get them to know, like, and trust us in the first 8 minutes or the first 30 minutes even. It won't be possible. So instead, I'm just going to ask everyone, and I can't even see the chat because I'm sharing my screen. So Ryan, you can read it out for me. But what does everyone think? If people don't know, like, and trust you yet, what's the single most important emotion that needs to be present that will naturally lead to a yes from the client? If anyone can just put in the chat what they think that we need to make them feel in order to get the client to want to do business with us. What is that emotion? Anything coming through?
Comfortable?
Comfortable?
Yeah. Understanding?
Understanding?
Now, make sure that when she gives you this answer, I still think about this every single day since I've heard this first.
These are good, but that's not what it is. It's safety. For anybody to make any decision, they have to feel safe. They have to feel like they know that it's the right decision, and either because they're creating the safety or you're creating the safety for them. So since we know that we cannot get anyone to know, like, and trust us in a first meeting, it's just impossible. It will be very surface level. Instead, we have to make them feel completely safe in making that choice. Okay. And I'm going to go into how we do that. And again, always just think about that. This is a game changer. What Ryan said, when I learned this, it's a game changer. People will trust you when they feel safe. I mean, think about even just personal relationships. If we don't trust somebody, we don't feel safe. So until we trust someone, if someone is making us feel safe, it'll get to trust faster. So what we're going to do is structure that first 8 minutes so that the client feels completely safe, that you can handle the job, handle the transaction, and that you're going to do it with integrity, and you've got a framework, and they can trust that it's going to be handled the way you say. So this is how we do it. We're going to chit chat. The old way of building rapport where you're like, oh, you guys have 4 kids. I have kids too. All of that. Like, do a little bit of that, but that's not going to really, really build rapport. That's just kind of like mindless chit chat. And we don't want that to go on too long, because if we don't get control of the conversation and we're chit chatting and trying to build that kind of generic rapport for too long, it's going to get to a point where the client's going to start asking you questions, and that's going to throw off our sequence. And we don't want that. We want to keep control of the meeting. So go ahead when you first walk into the appointment. Oh, hi, how are you? Make a little chit chat, and then you need to transition within the first 2 minutes, okay? Like no more than 2 minutes of chit chat. And this is how you could transition. Awesome. Like whenever there's a break in whatever they're telling you or whatever story they're telling you, awesome. Should we strategize? Because remember, you've already been working on a strategy since right after they scheduled the appointment. So you're coming in there with a plan. This isn't just like, here, I hope that they like me because we both go on vacations to Europe in the summer. No, like you guys have been working on a strategy. They know this. We've shown them this leading up to the appointment. So what I want you to do is say, find a way that you can get out of the chit chat in the first 2 minutes and be like, awesome. Should we strategize? Of course, they're going to say yes, because you're there to help them solve a problem, which is get their home sold, right? So they're going to say yes.
So one of the things that am thinking about is like you said it in the form of a question and not a statement. So is there a distinction between the two?
Awesome. Should we strategize? Because we want them to feel like we're not steamrolling over them, but we want to lead. So it's like gently leading. Okay. Should we strategize? They're going to say yes, because you're there for a reason. Honestly, most people are uncomfortable with mindless chit chat anyways, right? That's small talk. Most of the population doesn't like it. It's not comfortable for them. So they're uncomfortable anyway. So we're leading them to where we want them to be. Awesome. We built some chit chat. Should we strategize? We're leading them to next one, safety. Remember, we're always trying to make them safe. This is important. This is the next part of the first 8 minutes, the 6-question script. Yours can be 5, yours can be 6. I've done an example for you for listing agents, and there are 6 questions, but it's really important that in order to build safety for the client, that you present this next part of the first 8 minutes this way. And you could say it word for word, just like this. You would say, Mr. and Mrs. Jones, we just asked them if they want to strategize. They said yes. And you're going to say, I'm going to ask you the same 6 questions that I ask all my clients. And everything that we discussed is only for me to build out a strategy to achieve the results you want. You could change the word results you want to achieve getting your home sold. Whatever, like you can personalize that a little bit, but what I don't want you to personalize are these words that are in all caps. They need to understand that these are the same questions you ask every client, right? And it's the reason that's important, because that creates safety. Oh, they do this to everyone. This is part of the framework. This is part of the process. This is what leads to success. You ask all the clients these same 6 questions, and it's only to help build out a strategy. All of those 3 words right there create a lot of safety for them, because they're like, oh, she's not just interrogating me. I don't feel like I'm on the stand. It's not just a used car salesman being like, well, what do you want? How much do you want to spend? Blah, 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 blah. Like, no, we're giving them notice that we're going to ask them the same questions we ask all our clients, because it's going to be talked about only to get them the result that they want. Those 3 words are really important. If you want to tweak the rest, you can, or you can say it word for word, just like this. Okay. But we're leading them and we're giving them safety. Here's the questions. If I'm a listing agent, this is what I would ask. And remember, they know there's 6. So they know now you're going to ask them questions to get information so we can get to the result. Ideally, when would you like to hand over the keys to the new buyer? This is going to give us timeline. We need to know if they don't want to move until 2029, like what are we doing there, right? But if they're like, we need to move by December, that gives us a lot of information. So ideally, when would you like to hand over the keys to the new buyer? Number 2, is this a hard date, or is there any flexibility around this date? So we want timing, but we also need to know, is there anything that we're working within? Is that just kind of like a best case, or are they relocating? Like what's going on here? Is it hard, or is there flexible? Ideally, if you got exactly what you wanted, how much are you walking away with after the sale of your home? We need to know like what they're expecting in terms of if this is a listing appointment and selling their home, like what are you expecting? That's going to show us a lot. Are they reasonable? Have they done their homework? Like you're going to get a lot of information from that. Does that factor in any loans or mortgages you need to pay off? We kind of need to know the financial situation. Do they have a second mortgage? Those type of things. Then, is the sale of the home dependent on the purchase of a new home? What are they doing? Are they moving somewhere else? Are you going to be helping them with that? And then last question, at what price do you not have a deal? We need to know where their deal breakers are. Okay, that's also very important information. Again, if you want to tweak these questions, feel free. But having worked in real estate, these are the questions that I would ask because they're going to give me the information I need for the next steps. Okay. Are everyone tracking? Ryan?
Yes, ma'am.
We good? Okay.
Yep, we're good. Keep rolling.
Okay. So the information that we got from those 6 questions are going to give us the information that we need for the result formula. And the result formula, which we're going to share with them, which is what is the specific result that they're hoping to accomplish? That's their goal. Okay. So listing their house, selling their house. Great. By when? That's the timeline. That's why we asked that other question. That way, if they say 2050, you know that they're not serious. So out of those 6 questions, in order to create the result formula, which we're going to share with them, I need to know their goal and I need to know their timeline. So I would say to my client, after I've asked them the 6 questions, I would be like, after selling real estate for 24 years and working with, over 800 clients, I know that there is a process and a formula for success. And the formula for success is the results equal a strategy, agreements, and a timeline. And I'm going to share with them. It's the SAT result formula. So I've done this enough time to know that to get results for my clients, I need a strategy. We need to have the proper agreements in place. And there's a certain timeline that we have to follow. So I'm going to show them. I've already knocked their socks off leading to the appointment. I've got in there. I've created safety in the first 8 minutes. I've asked these 6 questions that I've told them I need to ask every client in order to get to the result formula, which is now that I have this information and I've got the strategy that I'm going to put in place, we get the proper agreements in place, and we're working off of their timeline. That's going to give us the results that we want. So I'm putting their mind at ease that I can handle this and we've got a plan. So my transition would be to them after I've told them that there's a formula from all my experience. I'm going to restate it and I'm going to break it down. So basically, they want to list their house. This is what I found. They want to close within 90 days and they want to walk away with $100,000. That was the information that I gathered from those 6 questions. And this is all hypothetical, okay? Everyone tracking. Do you see why I asked those questions, how it created safety, and the information that I needed? So then as we get later, now we're past the first 8 minutes and we're going to go into what is called EQ IQ rollover. And this is the ultimate way to pitch. When I learned this, I called Ryan and I was like, Ryan, I just learned the coolest thing ever. And it blew your mind, right?
Oh.
We were both like, what?
Yeah. So, this is like when I originally asked Tara to come in and teach in the challenge, and she'll be teaching again. Like, this is what I wanted her to teach. So like the win before you arrive stuff, that was cherry, but like, no, you really need to pay attention to this because it is so effective. And I have been picking it up and practicing it ever since she showed it to me. So please pay attention. And there is going to be a recording that goes out. So if you miss something, you'll get to watch it again and again and again. So please pay attention.
Okay. So yes, if you can master the EQ, IQ rollover and none of this, like your business will go through the roof anyways. But if you do all of this, like you're going to get every appointment that is ever set, you will get it. Okay. If you want it. So all of this is leading up to now the EQ IQ rollover, which is 20% of the puzzle, but it is like the 20% money maker. Okay. So it's like the ultimate way to pitch and sell high ticket, which in case you didn't know, real estate is high ticket. And that's what we are selling. And that is the business that we are in. So It's really important that we master this part of it. Okay, so how all people make decisions is we emotionally decide on something like, oh man, look at that fancy car. If I had that, like we get an emotional attachment to something, but then we have to logically validate that decision. Okay. That's how humans operate. We are going to get an emotional response. We want this new house, or we want to go on this vacation, or we want to buy this designer bag, or we want this fancy car. We emotionally get attached to the idea of it. But then, well, it was a great deal because I got 20% off. So like we will logically validate the emotional thing that we want to do. So what we have done through this ultimate, pitch method is our win before you arrive and our F8 are emotionally getting them there because we're showing them on an emotional level, oh my God, like she's all together. Look how seamless this is. And there's systems and there's processes and I feel safe. So on an emotional level, we have the client there, but they have not logically validated the decision to work with you. And that's what we do here. Okay. So that's why this is really important. EQ, IQ is where they logically validate what emotionally they already feel, which is that you are the right agent for the job. Okay. What we are going to do is we are going to mind map and we are going to overwhelm this client so much in the next 2 minutes that they are going to be seeking relief from you.
Mm-hmm.
And this is how you do that. So we've transitioned them from, okay, so I know that we want to list your house, we want to close in 90 days, and you guys are hoping to walk away with $100,000. We reaffirm what their goals are. Then you're going to get into Mr. and Mrs. Smith, after listing homes, $1 million homes for the last 20 years, whatever the scenario is. I know a lot of my clients have these same questions about the process and what it takes. And I'm literally, because I'm on a Zoom, I can't do it, but I would have a piece of paper in the middle here. I'm going to write a circle and I'm going to put, sell my home and relocate to Florida or whatever their scenario is. I'm going to write it here and I'm going to say, and then a lot of the common questions that my clients have, and I'm going to go through each one. Do I have to stage my home? If I do, then I'm going to mind map out even further, which I don't have on here. Who do I hire? How much does staging cost? Then I've got to get photographs. And then where does the photographer come from? What kind of photographs? Am I going to do any drone photography? What kind of repairs am I going to have to do? Like what is necessary at this price range? Does the whole exterior of the house need to be repainted? How am I going to hire those vendors? Then comps. I don't really know what the listing price should be. What did the neighbor's house sell for? What did they have to negotiate? Marketing. Are we going to just put this on the MLS? Are we going to do open houses? Are we going to run ads? Is there going to be Facebook ads? I'm going to go over all of those questions. Contracts. I don't know who negotiates. Do I need an attorney? What kind of things are people asking for, remedies? What is the market like? We're going to mind map out all of the questions that come up for someone when they're listing a home or buying a home in whatever that scenario is. And we are literally going to overwhelm them. So like, oh my God, even if they hadn't considered all of these things, they are considering them now. And they're like, wow, I could never do this on my own. Is everyone tracking what I'm doing here? I'm
100%.
going to spend 2 to 3 minutes completely tactically overwhelming this client on purpose. Okay.
So let me hear, if I'm hearing you straight, you got to write out this
you are
on
going
paper.
to write this out on a piece of paper in real time, all of the things, and you're presenting it to them like, this is what my clients normally feel. They're like, oh, I got to do this, but then I don't know, who should I hire? Am I going to have to remove the personal photos off the walls? What am I going to do with the pets? I mean, there's a lot more I could add to this, right? This is just for illustrative purposes, but literally I am going to mind map this out until they're like, oh my God, Jesus. Like that is what we want them feeling. Okay. Everybody tracking?
Uh-huh.
Then you're going to be like, but don't worry, Mr. and Mrs. Smith. I have a system for this. And this is really important for you guys to get. I only want you to use one of these 3. You guys all are professionals. You've been selling real estate. You've got some sort of framework already that you've developed for your clients. I need you to fit that framework into one of these 3. It can either be a success, kind of a success process. It can either be a quadrant like a pie, or it can be a triangle. And what I want you to do is take because you guys already all do this, all right? I know you are. I know you already are talking to your clients about repairs they may have to make before they list. If they need to remove any furniture or do any staging, you have a photographer. Of course, you're going to negotiate their contracts for them. You're going to market the home. You're going to pull comps. You're already doing all these things, but they don't really know what you do. That's part of the process of why we have all these people want to negotiate commissions and do all this stuff. They don't really know all the work that you're actually doing for them. We're going to show them right here. We're going to overwhelm them with all of the work that you do. And then you're going to go into showing them a simple, safe framework, how you answer all of these questions. So if I were doing like a pie chart, you might break this down into pre-listing, which would cover repairs and staging or moving furniture and photographs. And then you might get into marketing over here. This is where we're going to market. We're going to put in the MLS. We're going to do the open houses. Then you might put it into contract negotiation, something like this. And you're going to say, this is what I do. And it's going to fit nicely into 4 little quadrants. Then after contract leading up to closing, and you're going to put all the little things, you're going to show them how you're going to walk them through from this chaotic mind map that you did. And you're going to have it all organized in a nice little system because, hey, this isn't the first time you've done this. You're a professional. You're an expert. And they are going to feel so safe and in such good hands. They're like, Jesus, thank God that we called Kim or Brian or Daniel. I mean, this was the right choice. I mean, I knew that when I scheduled because look how seamless it was. And then he was working on my plan. And now he knows me better than I know myself. And he knows all the problems. And now you're going to lead them to safety with your framework. Okay. Make sense? We still tracking? I mean,
Yes,
does anyone
ma'am.
think this is good stuff, right? Could this help? So after you've told them that you're going to lead them to safety with the framework, this is where we're going to show more social proof. So you're going to say, you know, and your situation reminds me of my other client. And hopefully you have a story or another client that had a similar listing or situation. My client, Jenny, this is what, you know, she was relocating. We needed to get the home sold in 90 days. And this is what we did. And then you're going to, you know, there's a success story there. And I just want you to share a little success story, a little social proof to show this isn't the first time I've done this. You're in good hands. Again, we're creating safety. People love storytelling, and you're going to tell them a success story of one of your past clients that trusted you to list their home and it ended successfully.
So why is this important?
Because we're solidifying and creating safety and showing social proof that you can handle the job. This isn't something that you made up that you're hoping is going to work. We've done this before. Again, you're just creating that sense of safety in the client because that's what our whole goal is during this appointment, is getting them to a place of safety where they can emotionally and logically validate the decision to use you.
Mm-hmm.
Make sense?
Yes.
Everybody? I can't see the chat, so if anyone's asking questions.
Yeah, if you guys are good and you guys are tracking and Tara's doing a good job, drop a 1 in the chat. You guys are a little bit quiet in the chat. We want to make sure that you guys are still here. Then
we're going to get to our commitment transition. So after I've told them a little story about a client that successfully went through the same process that I'm inviting them to go into, I'm going to do a commitment transition, which again, I'm going to restate the goal. I'm going to reaffirm the strategy that I know will work for them. And then I'm going to say, are you excited to get started? So, hey guys, I know that you want to sell your home in 90 days and walk away with $100,000 with the strategy that I've just shown you. Are you excited to get started? We need now to get some agreement from them. And they are going to be excited because number one, we just overwhelmed them. We knocked their socks off. Then we showed that we know them better than they know themselves. Have you ever guys seen an ad where you feel like, oh my God, this ad was written just for me? Like the person is describing what you think almost better than you thought it yourself. And you're like, you feel like I've got to work with this person because they know me so well. That is what we are doing during this appointment. And then we're going to ask them if they're excited to get started. And that leads us into the last part of this method, which is 10%. It's where you're closing them. And I hate the word close, but that's what we're doing. And it's called the calendar close. because we've just restated their goal, again, we're showing them we're really clear on what they're trying to achieve. They're trying to achieve their home, sell the home in 90 days and walk away with $100,000 in this pretend scenario, okay? We've outlined the strategy and we've asked them if they're excited. I don't just want them to say yes. I'm going to go a step further and I'm going to visually show them on a calendar. This is called the calendar close. That's why it's the CC close. I'm going to map out their journey for them. So if they were saying they wanted to sell their home and close in 90 days, I'm going to take that framework that I went over, all the steps that I have to do in the pre-listing, the listing, the marketing, the negotiations, and then the post-listing, and I'm going to put it on a calendar for them. I'm actually going to visually have 3 months of a calendar in my appointment with me. And I'm going to say, well, this says August, but if it was October, let's pretend this says October, November, December. I would say, well, October, we're going to list the property here. That's going to give us, we're going to start doing repairs here. We're going to take about a week and a half for repairs. Then we're going to do the photos. I'm going to get in the MLS here. I think with the way the market's turning, we could probably have an offer within the first 10 days. Then after we get the offer, we're going to get into inspections here. We're going to do remedy period. We can set up closing here. And then here's where the new buyer is taking possession. That's 90 days, right? You said you wanted to get it listed and get out in 90 days with $100,000. Let me show you why we need to start now, because this is 90 days. I'm showing you the framework and we don't have any time to lose. Does this make sense? Everybody, we tracking?
Yes.
This is going to get them to close now because they know they don't have a month or 2 or 3 to think about it. Now, if they told you in the beginning they're not looking to list till next year, well, you kind of already know that there was no sense of urgency anyways, okay? But if some people, they don't even really know they're doing this, but they're like, we're not in any hurry. It's sort of like when we walk into a store and the salesperson says, how can I help you? And you're like, oh no, I'm just looking. When you absolutely know that you're there to buy something because you're going on vacation in 2 weeks and you need to buy something, but we don't like the pressure of telling people that we're there to buy. Instead, we say we're just looking. So some people psychologically, they may need to be out. They're like, oh, hey, we got to be out by January or February, but they're like, well, we're going to take a month to think about it. This is where we're going to visually show them they don't have a month to think about it because the process is so in depth. There's so much that needs to be done. A lot of clients think that this can all happen in 30 days. They have no idea about the work that you're doing and the things that go into it. And so we need to mind map it out, and then we need to show them there's no time to waste. This is going to take a minimum of 90 days. We need to get the house on the market now. And this is going to get them to close quicker without any of the lag of, I need to think about it. I need to do that. I need to do that. They're going to see visually like, oh, shoot, if we do want to be out by January 1st, like we got to list the property like this week. And you've done such a beautiful job of showing them from the very beginning when they first booked the appointment that the only thing you have to do then is make an invitation. So you could say something like, I'm super excited. It looks like we have a solid plan to roll out, get your home sold by the goal date by October. So we get the home sold. That's the goal by the date, which is October. That was for this one. I should change it to December for you guys. But you're just going to invite them now if they want to move forward. And the obvious answer is going to be yes, they want to move forward because you've shown them you've created safety, you've shown them you had a plan, you've been professional, you've answered all of their questions they didn't even know they have, and you've shown them that there's no time to waste. So you will literally get 90% at least close rate if you can do and integrate this entire method into any kind of new appointment with a client. Any questions? This works. I'm telling you guys, this works.
So actually, Daniel had a question. So he asked, what happens when it doesn't sell in time?
Well, during these 6 questions, again, I'm not telling you how to do your job. During these 6 questions, this is where you're fact finding. If any of these 6 questions, okay, first of all, I didn't point this out when I said it, but do you notice that these are not open-ended questions? These are not just like, what do you think about this? That open-ended questions do not create safety, by the way. These are very targeted questions to give me specific information that I need. So when you are creating your questions, if they are different than this, we do not want open-ended questions because, again, it doesn't create safety in the buyer or the seller. What we want is questions that give us specific data. When they're answering these questions, if anything sounds like wacky, you're a professional. You know, if they're trying to get $200,000 more for the home than what it's really worth, like you'll know here if there's more work you need to do. But to your question, if all of this aligns and you know the market and you've done your homework and you know your process, I mean, how many surprises really are there? You're in the home, you've seen the home. If you think that it really isn't possible to sell in 90 days or whatever their timeline is, that needs to be discussed, right? There shouldn't be any surprises. Like, I think in real estate, if you've got experience or you've taken the time to understand the market, I think we can generally predict pretty closely at least a range. Again, we're not making any firm promises that the house will close, but if you've done your job and they've shared accurate information, we shouldn't be that off, right? Unless there's just something that we don't know, but that's why we do the fact finding. Does that help? Anyone agree, disagree?
No, I think that's good.
I'm
I mean, I
open.
think yeah, the response from Daniel was yes. No, I think this is good. And Brian mentioned in the chat that the visuals of your calendar of the silent overwhelm, the framework, it really cuts down on the confusion when they are already overwhelmed. So
Yes.
the simple visuals are huge.
You need the visual. That's really, really important. Every part of it is intentional, by the way. We're just not throwing this in here just for like fluff. Like every part of this, the automated confirmations of the appointment, the intentional text with the visual, with their name or their address on it, the voice or video multimedia confirmation, all of it is very intentional. It's meant to create safety and professionalism, a perceived value of that for the potential client. The questions are very targeted, again, not open-ended because that doesn't create safety. It's giving you information that you need to then realign their goals so that they understand that there's all a method to this madness. And then the calendar, I would literally print off blank calendar pages so that you have them because the visuals are what make this so effective. If we were just talking about it, it gets lost because people aren't paying attention and they're thinking about something else. They're thinking about the next question that they want to ask. The visuals are what really make this powerful. So don't skip out on that. And also don't skip out on this mind map because if I wasn't on Zoom and I had the ability to actually do this for you in real time, it would be a lot messier looking than this. Like I would really be overwhelming them so that then I can lead them to safety with my plan.
So with this, so three things. So one, I want you guys in the chat to drop the one key takeaway that you're getting out of this. Two, share if you could drop down the screen share so they could see you full screen.
Oh, yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
And then so two is I want you guys to take a picture of Tarah and then I want you to post on social, specifically Instagram, what you guys got out of this and tag her in it. Because once again, she was gracious enough to come in here and share with us today. So we want to make sure that we're giving her some love too. So the only two things that I ask is drop what you learned, what your main takeaway was in the chat. And secondly, take a picture of Tarah and post it on social. And once again, we talk a lot about MIFKEs and Tarah knows what MIFKEs are. So make sure to connect with her to get a copy of the slides so you can get her MIFKE that she has created for you guys to help you guys win.
And and that if you guys go to my Instagram, I know we said in the beginning, but there was a couple people that hopped on late. Go to my Instagram, send me a DM saying you want the slides, and then I will send you those. And I do have a free 5-day lead challenge that you guys can hop into where I teach another framework, which is really, really cool. And it complements very nicely with Agent Launch. So you guys will, it'll seem familiar to you.
Good. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
All right. So I don't know if you glazed over this up front, but you are also one of the highest producing Rockford reps in the state of Ohio. So not only is she helping teach you guys this stuff, but she is also a killer when it comes to new build sales. So make sure to reach out and network with Tarah directly for new builds, because once again, it's hard to beat what she can do.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Any other questions? I got the chat up now so I can kind of see, but if this is a lot and some of it you guys are instinctually doing. I know that when I kind of learned this framework, I was like, wow, well, I'm already having success. So some of these things you might already be doing, but understanding the psychology behind it and having it together as a system and making sure you can do it each and every time is really, it's going to 10x your business. It really, really is, especially if you can just be very disciplined and integrate this into your framework. It's just, you're going to see a dramatic difference. You really will. So I can't stress that enough.
100% agree. Well, Ms. Tara, thank you so much for your time.
Yeah.
For those who have not been in the agent launch challenge yet, she'll be coming back and helping us sometime in November. So we'll get those on the calendar for you as well. But thank you guys. I appreciate you guys. If you guys need anything from me, let me know. Tara, any final thoughts?
No, good luck everyone. And when I send you the slides, if you have any questions, let me know. But this is awesome and I can't wait to see how it helps.
All right.
Thanks.
Love you
Very
guys.
Thanks for
good.
Hope you
having
guys have a
me.
good week.
Later.
Thank you. Bye.
Hey, everybody. How you doing?
Good. So.
Good.
I'll talk to you later, Ryan.
Yep.
Later.
Later, Brian.
See you.